I have recently been called far left by the polyamorous Cuban-American streamer Steven Kenneth Destiny Bonnell II. In all seriousness, polyamorous Cuban-American, these are jokes. Destiny's a friend of mine, but a bunch of people sent me a clip during which the streamer Destiny is, I guess, talking about the space. Now, for those who aren't aware of how streaming content works, most of what's on the screen is a video game of some kind. I can't tell if this is Grand Theft Auto or Tetris or what it is. And then in the bottom right corner, that's the guy who we're going to hear from, Destiny, talking. Here's what he had to say. Let's listen, and then we will discuss.
No,
everybody in my chat. Everybody in my chat keeps saying like the Young Turks and David Pakman, but these guys are like progressives. They're like on the ideological spectrum. I would say that like Steven Crowder is pretty far right, but the Daily Wire, Steven Crowder is further to the right than the Daily Wire, but the Daily Wire represents a solid center-right conservative mouthpiece, center-right conservative establishment, center-right conservative alternative media is the Daily Wire. There is nothing like the closest thing that would be center-left. My guess would be based on a little bit of like Pod Save America or something, but like otherwise like alternative left media space, like everybody else is way to left. The Young Turks is not center left, they are far left. David Pakman is barely center left, but more far left. You can't say the Young Turks are center left.
Whoa. So, all right, there's some interesting stuff here. Now, the real story here, and this goes back to Mike, why am I talking about this? I'm talking about it because it's funny, but also I'm talking about it because I had this conversation when I was on Lex Fridman a few weeks ago. I guess it's been almost a month. It's crazy. We had this conversation about where is the left on the political spectrum, and the difference is like I'm to Joe Biden's left, but I'm certainly to the right of socialists, the way socialists are normally placed on the political spectrum, although I might take issue with that. The real story in hearing Steven Kenneth Destiny Bonnell II say this is that Destiny and I agree on almost everything. So it's hard to imagine an analysis in which I'm far left and Destiny is not far left. Call it what you want. Like either neither of us is far left or we're both far left. And I don't know if Destiny's being provocative or, whatever the case may be. I'm a progressive social democrat advocating for some way to get everybody health care, although I'm flexible on exactly how we do it, a living wage, campaign finance reform. We need environmental protections. We need to use progressive taxation to reduce inequality and fund social programs. These are not, number one, these aren't radical or fringe ideas. These are mainstream ideas, popular among most Americans if they are fairly polled, and the default sort of Northern European social democracy. So to say that that's far left doesn't seem super accurate. It is also true that as opposed to some on the so-called far left, I'm not a dogmatic ideologue where I blindly follow a party line or get involved in tribal identity. And that makes me like Destiny. I think he also doesn't do that. I've been critical of the Democratic Party. I've been critical of the progressive movement. I've been critical of corporate media when it is appropriate, like Destiny. I also regularly engage with people from different parts of the political spectrum, different backgrounds. I've done the Joe Rogan show twice, did Lex Fridman. I was on the Patrick Bet David podcast, a Trump supporter, etc. What you also have to understand is that there's a movement in the US, the right wing, that calls what I just described far left. I think that they're wrong. There is a movement in the US and globally, socialists, that call my views center left. I put myself between center left and far left because we're sort of forced into this political spectrum. But the funniest thing about all of this is that Destiny's views and my views line up almost exactly on most issues. As far as I know, he supports many of the same policies I do. He once praised me as a left-wing commentator who's reasonable and intellectually honest. So if I'm far left, I think Destiny is also far left. Now, I will say one other thing, and this is speculation, okay? And I'll talk to Destiny anytime. He can't, I guess, go on my Twitch streams because he's banned on Twitch and it's a whole mess, but I'd love to talk about this. Destiny might label me as far left because he may be going through a period of distancing himself from the progressive wing of the left, and he may want to appeal to a more centrist audience. I don't know if that's the case. I'm speculating. I also think that there's a false equivalence between even comparing the Daily Wire to the David Pakman show, because the Daily Wire is a right-wing propaganda outlet that is out there to spread disinformation and to fearmonger on a daily basis, and they are funded by millionaire donors who have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo and undermining democracy. The David Pakman Show is actually an independent media platform without any of these millionaire donors. Certainly, we have people who have a membership who happen to be millionaires, but we don't have millionaire donors funding us in the way that the Daily Wire does. And there's really no way to even talk about the Daily Wire and the David Pakman Show in the same sentence or on the same spectrum, although he may just have been talking about political alignment rather than what the media outlets represent. So to sum this up, if I'm far left, Destiny's far left. It's either both of us or neither of us. And I thought it was an interesting comment. One of our sponsors today is Bonnell II. I have always enjoyed dry saunas. You get in there, your heart rate is up, dilates the blood vessels, can soothe achy joints and muscles. It's relaxing. It's just a great way to remove a little stress. Bonnell II is the creator of the infrared sauna blanket, which you can enjoy from home. Super easy to set up. Heats up fast. You don't have to have your head inside like at a traditional sauna at the gym. Nice for meditating or reading, getting work done, relaxing. I have found it to be a great way to unwind at the end of a long day. Easy to clean, sleek, lightweight design, easy to store, and comes with a 12-month warranty. And of course, if you don't love it, returns are super easy. But I think you will love it. And you'll get 15% off when you go to bondcharge.com/Pakman and use the code Pakman. The link is down below.